Hello everyone, I'm Forrest McFreelava, and this is Speedplay Horselords number 7. We left off in complete control over Italy, however without a land connection between it and the rest of the Khaganate. This isn't really something we can let stand, so we declare war on Bavaria in an attempt to just march our forces basically through the Balkans to make a direct land connection. We also declare war on this Croatian country, and ultimately the goal will be to take everything on our side of the Danube. Now, eventually we will expand further into Europe, however, the Danube is a fairly nice border in between. We are also the Basileia of the Byzantine Empire after all, so I do like the thought of having vaguely Roman borders. At any rate, our armies have successfully seized that direct land connection. Now it's merely going to be a matter of kicking all of the aristocracy off their land and pillaging the areas until they're all pastures. Meanwhile, we've declared war on the Arabian Empire. It is the last testament to the time we lost control of the Khaganate, and I'll be very happy to have it removed from the map. Ultimately, they don't have very many forces to worry about, and a much larger threat to our stability is the constant slew of rebellions happening throughout the countryside. Now, the previous plan had been, as you may be able to see, to have small armies essentially posted everywhere. It's worked fairly well. You'll notice by the economical map mode that we've pillaged quite a large area. However, we've been forced to deal with essentially constant revolts by manually selecting our armies and moving them over. Conquering entire countries like the Arabian Empire just now has proven much easier and less tedious than moving these armies to deal with revolts. So, what we need is a strategy that will let the revolts be taken care of automatically. Some tactic that we can use to essentially suppress our country without any input from me personally, as quite frankly, the amount of time we've been spending just dealing with revolts has skyrocketed as we've been expanding and pillaging more and more lands. The goal ultimately is to pillage the entire world, or pasteurize it, so this isn't exactly sustainable. Now, I've been listening to a French Revolution podcast, the Revolutions podcast, and they mentioned briefly the war in the Vendée and something called the Infernal columns. Now, quick heads up here. We're attempting to pasteurize the entire world, or the entire known world, so we are going to touch upon a couple rather dark themes, and this is probably going to be the first one. The Infernal columns, not affectionately named that, had the job of suppressing a very significant series of revolts in France. They're going to have essentially the same job of suppressing the revolts throughout our countryside. Now, a member of the French government described their task as turning the Vendée into the national graveyard. I don't quite want to take that on, however, quite frankly, there's going to be a bit of similarity. We are going to have armies on every single province that we are actively pillaging. Provinces being pillaged have a massive increase to revolt risk, as, quite frankly, and perhaps reasonably, people do not want to just sit back and have their entire cities burnt to the ground. Our Khagan has died. He was 51 years old. That is how quickly we've been going through this and how much it's had to have been sped up. He was a child one video ago, and his entire life has gone by in the course of around 8 minutes. Now we do go ahead and quickly marry off the new Khagan in an attempt to get an heir. We are very lucky that we did not lose the Khaganate again, as it went to our previous Khagan's brother. So hopefully we will manage to get a new heir and avoid that with him. Anyway though, as you'll notice by this culture map mode, we have pillaged a massive amount of land in basically this video and the one previous. The plan for our Infernal columns is to put armies on every single province that we need to pillage. We have nearly completed that. It is not completed entirely at this point. However, it will speed up our efforts immensely. We also declare war on the Umayyads. A new Khagan means a new subjugation casus belli. Now you'll notice we still have quite a few landed vassals throughout the western edge, the western edges of our empire. Those are going to stay for a while. As part of our plan with these infernal columns, we will not be pillaging every single territory we can. Instead, we will only seize direct control over provinces that we can put an infernal column onto and that we can deal with the rebellions automatically. These infernal columns will essentially automatically suppress the entire countryside until it can be pillaged into pasture land. Is it morbid? Perhaps. It is quite a bit drastic. However, at this point, it is by far the best option we've got. So, ultimately, the goal is we will carry on more or less like a wave of pillaging throughout the world, expanding only as quickly as we can build up the additional forces needed to pillage into nothingness the provinces we take. Now, at the moment, that means quite a bit in East Africa and the Middle East. Already we are moving forward at really an astounding pace. And that is in large part thanks to the infernal columns. They've not entirely taken over every single province we're pillaging, as we don't quite have enough men for that yet. However, as time goes on and the process is streamlined, we should be able to put an army on every province. And you'll notice that much of the world has already been turned into pasture land. So, for our goals, that is quite nice. Unfortunately, we were not quite quick enough with the air, and we now lose control of the Khaganate once again. We are now once again a child. We have a regent, and the pasteurization must come to a quick halt. When we come back, we will attempt to regain control of the Khaganate and get the gears turning once again. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe.